Esther was an extraordinary woman. Although she came from a very ordinary background, she was able to accomplish extraordinary things in service to God. In Esther, God shows how both discretion and valor saved her people. To me, the overriding character trait displayed by Esther throughout her narrative is that of discretion. Even with the blessings of youth and beauty, Esther possessed the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight, 1 Peter 3 and verse 4. And this is first shown in her caution with regard to her heritage. In Esther 2 and verse 10, Esther did not make known her people or her kindred, for Mordecai had instructed her that she should not make them known. Not only did Esther possess the inner discipline to keep her ethnic background secret, she possessed the wisdom to obey the counsel of her cousin and adoptive father, Mordecai. Now, was Esther ashamed of her Jewish background? No, because Mordecai had to advise her not to reveal it. But ironically, her ability to guard her birthright became the first step toward the salvation of the entire race. Now take this lesson from Esther and rely on the wisdom of others. Discretion also often means keeping things to ourselves, and this can sometimes be a monumental task. Now God understands the challenge of taming the tongue, for it's addressed in James 3 verses 1 through 12. But Esther's wise choice shows us the way. Esther's discretion doesn't waver as she moves under the influence of Haggai in the king's court. And surely her modesty and decorum appealed to Haggai and resulted in superior treatment. In Esther 2 and verse 9 it says, "Now the young lady pleased him and found favor with him, so he quickly provided her with her cosmetics and food and gave her 7 choice maids from the king's palace and transferred her and her maids to the best place in the harem." She also wisely follows Haggai's instructions when appearing before King Ahasuerus. We read, "Now when the turn of Esther came to go in to the king, she did not request anything except what Haggai, the king's eunuch who was in charge of the women, advised. And Esther found favor in the eyes of all who saw her," Esther 2 and verse 12. Now she could have taken anything she desired from the harem into the king's palace, but she chose to heed Haggai's insightful advice so she could succeed in God's purpose for her. Esther demonstrates that wise counsel can come from a variety of sources. Her decision to heed Haggai's counsel resulted in her being crowned the queen. Now, do we sometimes discount the counsel of others just because they're non-believers? How many of our bosses or our co-workers are faithful Christians? And yet they may hold the key to our success in the workplace, a success which can bring glory to God just as Esther did. But discretion only went so far, and eventually she had to also call upon her courage. This seems to be outside Esther's comfort zone. The first time Mordecai asks her to go to the king, she responds, "All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces know that for any man or woman who comes to the king in the inner court who is not summoned, he has but one law, that he be put to death, unless the king holds out to him the golden scepter so that he may live. And I have not been summoned to come to the king for these 30 days, Esther 4 and verse 11. But again, she listens to Mordecai and trusts in God. And because of the seriousness of the situation and the courage that she needed to carry out her mission, Esther asks Mordecai to go assemble all the Jews who are found in Susa and fast for me. Do not eat or drink for 3 days, night or day, and my maidens also will fast in the same way, and thus I will go in to the king, which is not according to the law, and if I perish, I perish." Esther 4 and verse 16. Friends, God can help us summon the courage to do even terrifying things. Now Esther is prepared to summon up her courage and appear before King Ahasuerus, and God answers her prayers and she is spared. And once she has an audience with the king, she again relies on her tact and her restraint to find the right time to reveal Haman's plot against the Jews. Haman's plot must have been at the forefront of Esther's mind all through the first banquet and the second banquet. Remember, Haman is sitting at her table. However, she waits until the appropriate time to reveal that plot, and as a result, the Jews are rescued. Now, how many times do we have important things to discuss with our spouse, our boss, our fellow Christians, and because of our emotions and the seriousness of our message, sometimes we choose the wrong time or the wrong place to share our thoughts. But friends, we need to pray that God helps us not only with proper words to say, but also with the discernment to choose the right place and time. And we can learn these great lessons from the story of this ordinary woman who accomplished extraordinary things. Friends, we thank you for joining us for our program today, and have a blessed day.